discuss with you all that I want to remind you of for the sake of helping you do your own self-assessment and be able to identify your own present level of bhava that you are operating out of. And this is that aspect of love, of bhava, that is best illustrated in the relationship between a doting and tender mother and her child. What in the tradition has been referred to as Balak Bhava. The Balak Bhava, then, is that aspect of love whereby the Gurumukh, the devotee now, takes care of the Guru, much like a doting and loving mother takes care of her baby, you see. You saw some semblance of that already, right? And just a brief description by Ji Maharaj of the relationship that exists between Saligram Maharaj and Soami Ji, right? Just kind of doting on that baby. You see? At the slightest whim, the doting mother grabs the baby and pulls the baby to her, you see? She's washing the baby, grooming the baby, and doing darshan of the baby. That's one of the qualities that you notice most about this doting mother. She does darshan of the baby. She just holds the baby and just looks at the baby constantly. And even when she's not holding the baby, looking at it, just enjoying it. You see? Looking at her baby is her highest form of pleasure. And even if the baby is not immediately in front of her, the baby is somewhere in her mind somewhere. You see? She's always feeling the presence of her child. You see? Even if it's laying there in the crib, she feels it. If it moves, it's like she'll come up out of her deepest sleep in response to the slightest movement, because she is connected even beyond the conscious level with the presence of the baby. She could put the baby right next to her in her bed and not crush it, never roll over on it, all night long, you see, because a part of her mind is forever aware and focused on the presence of the baby and the needs of the baby, you see. This is Balak Bhava. It is a kind of love that begins to occur between the Gurumukh and the Guru now. When the Gurumukh actually is looking upon the Guru much like that doting mother sees the child, constantly attuned to the Guru's slightest need, slightest discomfort. Like the mother, cannot bear to be separated from her beloved child. Yes, you know, even if she goes to the washroom, she has to leave the door open just in case. You see? And even if her husband take her out and she has a babysitter, she's you know, about after 10 o'clock, she's ready to go home. You know what I mean? You know, something in her pulls her back, you see. She's always craving to have that baby in her arms. You know what I mean? So you all can begin to get a sense of that, right? The Balak Bhava is another sign that the devotee's relationship with the Guru has become even more intimate now, right? You see how sweet that's getting now? That's getting real sweet now. You know what I mean? It's gone way beyond a kind of mechanical, intellectual, psychologically induced relationship. You see? But we try to induce the relationship artificially. You know what I mean? But that is a relationship that is heart-based, isn't it? Not mind-based. You know? That relationship between the doting mother and child is certainly not an intellectual relationship. It is so far from an intellectual relationship. You see? as there is the distance between Earth and the Milky Way, you see. So the quality of the relationship then between the Guru and the disciple, when it reaches this level of balak bhava, becomes sweet. And that's so pretty. Some of the most beautiful stories you will read in the literature or in the hagiography or biographies of these great lovers, you see, it's coming from there. You know what I mean? You can feel it when you read Rumi and Shams Tabriz. You know what I mean? You could see where that's coming from. You know? It's just really sweet. You know? It's like watching a mother, you know, caring for her newborn child. That's kind of sweet. You know what I mean? You see, even men can see that. You know what I mean? Noticing our wife with our firstborns, you see, and just seeing how they handle that baby. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really something sweet, you know, to behold. So naturally, those who are lucky enough to witness that level of drama and relationship occurring between the devotee who has reached this level with their guru is just indescribable. You know what I mean? You're just fortunate to be in the company of that phenomenon. So check yourself and see if your relationship with your guru has any of the elements of balak bhava or not. Again, as we do this, it's not to talk so much about what you want and as much as where you at. We all want this kind of relationship, and that's good, but first you must find out where you at. Otherwise, how would you know what to do to get to where you want to be? Just a couple of more, and I think you will have enough of a recovery of the sense of what is meant by Baba to appreciate these exchanges between Soami Ji Maharaj and Huzur Saligram Maharaj. There's another aspect of ardent love that you will find in the authentic relationship with a guru that has been referred to as the relationship between a husband and wife. That's pretty too. There's a level in the development of our relationship with our guru where the Baba begins to look more like the Baba that characterized the relationship with a husband and wife, where they are equal in status and equal in ownership. Whatever belongs to the husband belongs to the wife. Whatever belongs to the wife belongs to the wife. Even at the level of their bodies. You see my point? You see? Their relationship has gotten that intimate now. That intimacy. That's intimate when the one can say, give me your body, and you come. You see? And give the man your body for his pleasure. That's, you understand? When we get in a place now where, you know, we almost have to burst into poetry or something, you know, because, you know, this is beautiful here, isn't it? Or if your wife tell you, Robert, come get in the bed with me. She can say that. Because your body, you can't say no. You see? Women know this, even when you don't particularly feel like it, you can't say no. Right? But everything is jointly owned now. It's a one life. You see my point? And it's a beautiful thing. So this is a kind of metaphor that describes one aspect of the bhava that begins to occur within the context of the Gurumukh and Guru relationship. Now there are more, right? But I think you got a good sense of what I'm talking about. There's also the Sakha, the friend. And you all know about all of that. Where it's that kind of relationship, you see, where you're always concerned about your friend. There's a level then in that relationship between the guru and the disciple, you see, where there's a mutual concern for one another. You know, it's not one way. It's a mutual thing. And that's what characterizes real friendship, is that there's a mutual concern, isn't it? If it's one-sided, it ain't fully functional friendship, is it? Where the guru is concerned about the devotee, the Gurumukh. You know what I mean? And the Gurumukh is equally concerned about the guru, and they are constantly inquiring of one another well-being. You see? Like your friend call, how you doing, man? Just want to holler. You see my point? Or you call them, haven't heard from them, just want to holler. I mean, there's a real concern. Like you all have already demonstrated earlier today, you see, with Sahajananda, a real concern. I know many of you very genuinely were and still are concerned that she makes it through this ordeal all right. Do you see my point? You're concerned. And that concern is beyond the level of rhetoric, right? You're ready to give her money if that's what it takes. You're ready to do any kind of favor, you see. Ronnie Kamari called her from Arizona last night. Is that right, beloved? And said, what you need? I'm coming home. Is that right? She called me this morning and said, I'm catching the plane. I'm coming home. I've talked to Sahajananda. So you all have some kind of personal experiences with one another that gives you some sense of the bhava that governs the relationship between friends. That mutual concern, genuine concern, not drama. You know what I mean? Not an ounce of drama. Not a publicity stunt. Not engaged in for the sake of recognition. Just pure, genuine concern for one another. So these, you see, are the kind of basic bhavas that are in seed form, even while we are in this pinda level of spiritual development. And it's by virtue of the practice of sadhana that these seeds of bhavas sprout and grow within the context of our relationship with the Guru. In fact, you can look at the number of lifetimes that is required for a person to achieve full liberation related to this basic process. Because for those dormant potentials to be fully activated, we have to make progress. And so you can see the 5 stages of progress, you see, it reflected in this. Because each of these 5 stages of spiritual progress, articulated in the terms of traveling to higher planes of consciousness, going from Pinda to Sahansdam Kawal, from Sahansdam Kawal to Traikuti, from Traikuti to Daswandar, from Daswandar to Wagufa, from Wagufa to Sachkhand. These 5 stages of inner accent are rooted on and based on and fueled by the love between the Guru and the disciple. That's why they said, without cultivating love for the Guru, you will never reach Sachkhand. You will never reach any of the higher regions. because it's only by way of having love for the Guru that you can do that. Without love for the Guru, you will not follow the sadhana, the instructions. And if you don't follow the instructions, then how in the world would you make any inner progress? This is the point that must be really considered by you all and really appreciated and really understood. This principle must be understood because some of you still do not understand the principle that really governs spiritual growth and its relationship to love. No love for the Guru, no spiritual growth. You must get this notion out of your head that you can read enough books, right? Or you can find some worldly alternative to love for the Guru and make some spiritual progress. That's not going to happen. Only the love for the Guru generates sadhana. Sadhana is a response based on love for the Guru. Please make a note. Otherwise, there's no way to do sadhana. If you will not do when the Guru say, then how would you be Guru? How would you be instructed? You won't. Will you? No. And not doing what the Guru say, not following the sadhana, not doing the practices given, then how would you make spiritual progress? I mean, really, how you think you're going to make spiritual progress? I don't have to answer that, but I want you to consider that. What has been your fundamental presumption on how you're going to make some spiritual progress? What has been your principal strategy by which you think you're actually going to make some spiritual progress? It might have included a little meditation and stuff like that, but I want you to really consider that. Have you been thinking that you're going to make spiritual progress by reading more books, watching more tapes, making more money, taking care of all your peripheral activities in the world? I mean, what's your strategy? How do you think you were going to do it? How did you think you were going to make all this spiritual progress doing the bare minimum amount of meditation? I mean, what's going on in your mind? How are you thinking? I mean, what are you thinking? So these then are some of the fundamental bhavas that you will see reflected. In fact, as we go through these letters now, you'll begin to see some signs of all of these bhavas being reflected, okay? Now, for the sutras. Not have time to do them all, but I'll get one or two at the most because I want to have some time left for sitting today. Hopefully we can have these kind of occasions where we can do this again. This is a letter from Huzur Maharaj to Soami Ji Maharaj. And now I will just try to go straight through. I won't pause and elaborate unless absolutely necessary. Hopefully most of you have familiarized yourself with enough of the terminology of these mystics to make heads and tails of all of this. Although I do need to share more with you about all of these stages, these 16 stages and points on the inner journey, according to Radha Swami, you see, so that you all can understand how that pertains to you and your own spiritual journey, you see. Because you got to understand your goal and where you are at in relationship to that goal, what the obstacles are in between there, you see, and the kind of help you will need along that journey. So we'll get a chance to do that at some later date. All right. Huzur Maharaji writing to Swami Ji Maharaj. And one of the things Chachaji did not do, is give us the dates of these letters, so I'm not sure where they fell in that period. Saligram served Soami Ji Maharaj from 1858 to 1878, which is the year Soami Ji Maharaj died. Okay, so that's something like a straight 20 years. So these letters was written during a period of 20 years, and we don't have all the letters. You see, one of the things that Chachaji did that I think resulted in him even writing this book was out of a kind of swoon of despair upon the death of Soami Ji Maharaj. Chachaji, who had been sort of more like a secretary and had access to these kind of correspondences between Soami Ji. Soami Ji used to dictate a lot of letters to Chachaji Maharaj to write. So Chachaji Maharaj functions sort of like a secretary to Soami Ji, staying in contact and so forth and so on. And so he had all these papers and, you know, notes and all these things that he had heard while in the service of Soami Ji Maharaj. But when Soami Ji Maharaj expired and entered into the Mahasamadhi, when he died, this Chachaji was so distraught, so swooned, right? And had placed so much value on these documents and letters, he didn't know what to do with them, who to give them to. He thought they were just, you know, this was like gold. It was so precious. What should he do with it? He was perplexed. He didn't know what to do. Huzur Maharaj at that time was already posted, you know, outside of Agra and was coming back 3 or 4 days, so forth and so on. So he didn't have time to go through all the Swami Ji things to gather this stuff. And had asked Chachaji Maharaj to take care of it and make sure that they find the right place for this stuff, because this is precious stuff. Well, Chachaji is thinking that, well, Huzur Maharaj is not here, you know what I mean? He's away, I got this stuff, I don't know what to do with it. So he took all of that stuff, put it in a bundle, went and threw it into the well. Yes.
The well.
He threw it into that well. An actual well. And the reason he did that, because the well had, over the course of those years, taken on a certain kind of myth with respect to the fact that it was the well from which Swami Ji took his water. So it was something special about this well. You know what I mean? I mean, this is the well Swami Ji drank from. You know what I mean? It's holy. It's more sacred than anything. And so he thought by throwing the stuff in the well that he would somehow or another be returned. I know it. I suspect the story myself. But this is the story that comes down to us. But when he realized what he had done, he was full of regret and remorse. And this book was an effort on his behalf to make up for this incredible act of, you know, insanity. You know what I mean? Of feeling that there's not another human being on the planet worthy of having this stuff. You know what I mean? So I give it back to you, Swami Ji Maharaj. And down the well he dropped it. Who else can appreciate it? Saligram is not here. This thing is something, ain't it? This thing is something. This Radha Swami Mat is a beautiful path. It's a path of such a sweet piety. You know, it's not the path of yoga and hard thinking and all of that. It's just a sweet, sweet thing. And as you can see from our discussion of the bhavas, you can see that. You get a sense of it. So let's get to the main event. Huzur Maharaj writing to Swami Ji Maharaj. For the last few days, I have been thinking constantly of submitting my humble petition to the exalted audience of your most illustrious and august graciousness. That's how I used to talk to him. But every time when I propose to write, my mind gets so perplexed that I feel terribly confused and do not know what to write. Sounds like you know. No word or phrase comes to my mind worthy of being written in my entirety. In short, your august self alone can describe your glory and praise. How can this handful of dust express even a particle of your glory, either in speech or in writing? No word or phrase is so far known to this world that can convey to one's mind even the most remote ideal of your glory. All expressions used in praise of God are only too inadequate and prosaic for a proper description of you. How can then one describe the praise of your illustrious Dunbar and of your majestic self? Owing to this, a terrible perplexity seizes me at the time of writing, and I am at a loss to decide as to what I should pen here. Despite a thorough search for a suitable expression for this supplication in the scriptures in possession of this slave of yours, none is found suitable and appropriate here. Although it has been said that thou alone canst sing thy praise, none else knows it, said Nanak. This is a quote from the Guru Granth Sahib. You see? Just on that note, one of the things they say that that is responsible for the Swata Guru bringing their Gurumukh with them down, right, into this creation, is so that the Gurumukh, remember, and the Guru, at that highest level, there's no distinction. They're the same. And so it's almost as like the divine splits itself into two beings so that it can worship itself. Because can't nobody worship God right but God. So this is the purport behind Nanak saying. You see, that none alone can sing thy praise, none else knows it except you. Saligram continues, writing that the repeated prayer of this slave at your august feet is that no notice be taken of his sins and shortcomings, or else he shall stand nowhere. And again he quotes from the Guru Granth Sahib. Ever and ever doth man in error fall, but the protector is powerful. All. Fallen in dark, I pine and repine. Reclaim me, O gracious and benign Lord. Several lives have passed in this way. Save me in thy grace, doth Nanak pray. The poetry is archaic. You have to understand Nanak is writing way back in the early part of the 15th century, and then this is being translated from the original. So some of the poetry doesn't have the rhyme and the meter, but I think you get a sense. And so after quoting this couplet from Nanak Sahib in his letter to Soami Ji Maharaj, Huzur Maharaj Saligram continues. He says that similar is the condition of this slave of yours. May your graciousness and your own mercy deliver him from the miseries of his sins. Slaves and children are always apt to disobey and follow their own will. But a master or a father is always kind and gracious to them. Similar is the plight of this slave of your grace. He only expects every moment your grace and attention. How can this insignificant being perform even a little of Simran and Bhajan, or any such act as may merit the pleasure of your grace? But your grace, kindness is all powerful. It can do anything as it pleases, as have been appropriately said. And again he quotes now. Say, what can a man do of his own? Whatever the Lord ordained is accomplished through man. Were it in his power, he will collect all and do whatever he likes, but he can accomplish only what is ordained for him. Ignorant as he is engrossed in sensual pleasures. Had he known the truth, he himself would have taken measures for his safety. The erring mind runs about on all sides. In the twinkling of an eye, it wanders in all the four directions. Whosoever is blessed with the gift of devotion remains absorbed in the bliss of Nam. Those who are admitted into his sadhana are not called upon to submit their accounts to Jadish. Jadish is called, sadhana means refuge. After quoting this beautiful poem, Huzur Maharaj Saligram continues in his letter. And he says, therefore, my repeated prayer to your grace is that my sins be not taken into account, and that your grace eye of mercy and forgiveness may fall on this sinner. Then, of course, something can be achieved. Otherwise, howsoever assiduously I may apply myself to bhajan, nothing will be of any avail. On the contrary, I will only remain here in this mortal world. How far can bhajan be of any avail? At the most, it can be done for an hour or two throughout the day. And that too, if the duration of real or earnest bhajan were to be calculated, it may, perhaps, work out to a few seconds on a certain day. Otherwise, the vagaries of mind are always there, and the condition with regard to sins is such that all the 8 hours are passed in it. So it is obvious that no reliance can be placed on my bhajan, but reliance on your mercy and grace is so mighty that the sins and evil deeds of ages, nay, of lives beyond number, are effected and effaced by a single movement of your grace eye of mercy. O my Lord, merciful to the humble, Father and Creator and gracious Lord of the universe, please write off the account of my sins and retrieve me from the thraldom of call by a stroke of the pen of your forgiveness. Pray and still in my mind such consummate love and devotion for your holy feet as may free it completely from wanderings and strayings, hankerings after the pleasures of the senses, and dancing to the tune of desires and maya. May this grace and mercy be showered on this humble servant, that he may not have to be away from Huzur's most exalted feet to the last breath of his life. May he, every moment and every day, witness the glory and effulgence of your grace and remain engaged in devotions to Huzur's feet with intense love, intense eagerness, intense longing, profound humility, and profound submissiveness. both here in this life and hereafter. This is his repeated prayer. This is the sincerest and most earnest wish of this humble self. And this is what he begs for. No supplicant, high or low, has ever turned empty-handed from your threshold. Hence, this humble slave of yours feels confident and sanguine that his prayer will be heard and accepted, and the favor asked for will be granted. But the delay is highly disquieting. As a matter of fact, there is no hitch or delay in the bestowal on the part of your gracious self. All this delay is due to this slave's improper manner of asking and praying. May it be your august self-gracious pleasure that this humble self may learn the proper way of asking and making solicitations. Then, doubtless, there will not be a moment's delay in gaining the desired object. May your grace be pleased to bestow on him such yearning, love, attachment, and devotion that your holy feet may not be forgotten even for a moment, and the tide of love may keep on surging all the time. Incidentally, when you hear holy feet, what they're talking about is keeping the Guru form in your mind. That is considered to be a form of grace from the Guru, that you are given that ability to keep his form always in your mind. So he's praying literally for having the continuous darshan and dhyan of Soami Ji Maharaj. He continues, your holy feet may not be forgotten even for a moment, and the tide of love may keep on surging all the time. A prayer under these conditions will promptly be heard and granted by your most sacred and exalted self. It is prayed that your gracious self may be pleased to speedily exterminate indolence, sloth, intemperance, vagaries and oscillations of mind, and all other obstacles by instilling in him intense love and yearning. Otherwise, this slave of yours will be nowhere. What else may he pray for? There is no end to this slave's prayer and solicitation. He wishes he could go on asking until he is in receipt of his heart's desire and go on writing you. As the time for the dispatch of mail is close at hand, he ends this humble petition here. This ever sinful slave expects grace, mercy, and remission of his sins. It is also prayed that Brother Pratap Singh or Brother Guru Sankar be directed to collect and send a small packet of dust which may have received the touch of Huzur's feet. If you couldn't go see the Guru, he says, send me some dirt from your feet. Get some dirt. Literally now. I just want to interject this so that you don't think he's doing something poetically here. He's been very literal. Saligram, whenever he had to be away from from Agra, would actually write back to his fellow Satsang, and he would ask them when Swami Ji Maharaj is sitting in Satsang, and when he takes off his sandals and walks across them to collect actual dust and dirt off his feet and send it to him. Mm-hmm. This thing is something. This thing is something. So he is writing here, reminding Swami Ji. It is also prayed that Brother Pratap Singh or Brother Gadi Sankar be directed to collect and send a small packet of dust which may have received the touch of Huzur's feet. Huzur's footprint on the paper which has been sent to me had too little dust on it. So this slave of yours prays for the favor of being supplied with the special dust from your sacred feet. Charamit and Prasad may also graciously be sent to this slave soon. May it please the most sacred and exalted Mother, benign, gracious, and merciful, Sri Radhaji Maharaj. That's how they refer to Swami Ji's wife. May it please her, to accept this despondent slave most meek and humble salutations, tendered with his head placed at her feet like a slave, and may this grace be conferred early on this slave, that on reaching the most exalted and sacred Huzur's feet, he may have the darshan of the refugees of the Most High and the Most Sublime. Also, to Bibi Sadoji, this is Soami Ji's sister, and he goes on to name a bunch of names in here you won't recognize, but these are the name of some of the other satsangis that were associated with Soami Ji and that primordial sangha, and most of them you'll hear here are women. In fact, in the lineage coming down from Soami Ji, we have 2 women that serve as guru. You see? In addition to his wife, Radhaji Maharaj, who was one of the gurus that was sanctioned by Soami Ji Maharaj to carry on his teaching, there was also another female guru named Baji Sahiba. And she too also functioned as guru in Swami Baba. So this line of teachers coming down from Swami Ji Maharaj, at least in Agra, are unique in that of the 5 succeeding gurus, or 6 rather, if you include Radhaji, 2 were women, and recognized as Saint Saku, and given all of the kind of devotion befitting of a Saint Saku. So here he's closing his letter by, again, sending regards towards Bibi Sadoji Maharaj, Bibi Siboji, Bhukaji, Vishnuji, Mituji, Kiloji, Ashintaji. To all of them, I offer my salutations and homage, duly touching their feet. May the most humble salutations to Brother Pratap Singh Ji, Brother Gari Shankar Ji, Brother Kanahija Lal Ji, Brother Bal Mukund Ji, Lala Kundun Lal Ji, Bhagat Ji, Radha Krishan Ji, Chandaran Ji, and others be accepted. May Brother Pratap Ji C and Brother Garat Shankar Ji kindly be asked to honor this slave by communicating the orders that your illustrious graciousness may be pleased to pass on this humble petition. Signed, the lowliest, the slave of slaves, and the most humble, Saligram. Now, Swami Ji's reply to this letter. My dearest and dearer than life. Dearer than life. And already telling you what this kind of bhava is going on here between these two, isn't it? Right? Dearer than life. What kind of bhava is going on here? I wish you all health and happiness, but keep uppermost in your mind bhajan, dhyan, and devotion to the Supreme Being. The grace of the Supreme Being on you is the same as it was before. Attune yourself to the will of the Lord, renouncing all thoughts of the past and future. Keep your spirit immersed in Shiv at all times. Fix your spirit in Shiv, and Shiv is in Gagane. Gagane is the inner regions. Fill your heart with yearning. Fill your heart with yearning, and the heart is at Trikuti. Some of the language is technical. Unite your spirit with Shiv and see beauteous sights. The teal is located within Sukmana. The Sukmana is the artery between the left right eye and the other one that goes down the spine, right? What is called the Iga Pingala Sukmani. Swami Ji is very technical. This is the language. Sit in bhajan after making your mind and spirit calm. With the help of love and yearning, by grace of the Guru, your object will be gained. Rest assured and have no fear whatsoever. I think we have time for another one. Which one I want to take here. All right. All right. This again is from Huzur Maharaj going to Soami Ji. And he writes, the petition of the most humble, the slave of slaves, the downtrodden in life offering Saligram is submitted before the most illustrious, holy, and exalted grace, who is Dayal, merciful to the humble, gracious, merciful, clement, forgiver of all sins, hearer of all prayers, conniver of faults, supreme being himself, the respected, the highest, and the most true, Shri Sat Guru, Sat Purush, Sat Sahib, Sat Nam, Shri Prabhu, Swami Ji Maharaj. It's Guru, that's called, there's a language we call Gurumukh. This is Gurumukh. After countless obeisance in a spirit of extreme humility, submission, and meekness, and after placing his forehead on the holy and sacred dust of your exalted threshold, and after paying his respect to those present in the holy court, and after kissing their feet, this slave humbly states that the two letters containing the commands of the exalted Huzur, one from Lucknow, and along with a partial of special prasad, and the other from Agra, commanding proper application to Bhajan and Dayal, and stating that only a few days are now left for the presence of this humble slave at the audience of the illustrious Huzur have been received. This humble slave immediately put those letters on his forehead and eyes, and how greatly honored and joyous he felt by reading the letters is beyond description. That was the day of extreme good fortune, and feeling exalted on such good luck, this humble slave thanked thousands of times your most exalted, sacred, and gracious self, that one who is so insignificant, ever sinful, and undeserving as this slave, has been enriched by the bestowal of such grace and mercy. The special prasad instilled a fresh vitality in my body, and the condition of sewage slightly improved. It will be an act of extreme grace and mercy on this humble slave if special prasad could be dispatched in an envelope every day to him. I am sure that if your graciousness so pleases to command, Bhai Sahib Lala Pratap Singh Ji or Brother Lala Gari Shankar Ji would arrange to send it every day in an envelope by post. It is beseechingly prayed that in this matter grace may please be shown on this humble slave. As regards your illustrious grace commands in connection with Bhajan, all is very well known to your exalted and sacred graciousness. The day the command of your exalted grace and special prasad was received, the condition of Surat, of course, improved a little, but the uneasiness of the heart and the restlessness of the mind, due to the inability of having the sacred darshan, are more or less the same as they were. At times, this humble slave is so greatly disturbed that he feels at heart that he may tell Mr. Patton that he is not willing to stay here any longer. But worldly considerations intervene and compel me, and then helplessly I keep quiet. It appears from what Mr. Patton told me that he would stay here till the middle of November or December. If your exalted grace ordered this slave also to stay until then, it would appear to be an extreme displeasure and reproof of this humble servant, inasmuch as he will have to be away from your holy and exalted feet for too long of a time. In any case, it is most humbly prayed at the feet of your blessedness with an expression of deep humility and submission, that grace may kindly be showered on this humble slave, and the account of his sins and faults may be written off with a stroke of a pen of your forgiveness, and such a favor be shown that my stay here may not exceed 1 month, so that I may be near the feet of your exalted grace about a couple of days before or after the Wali, and have the sacred darshan and good fortune of kissing the feet of your graciousness. May the prayer of this humble slave, as well as the intercession of all other satsangis on my behalf, be heard and granted at the court of your most illustrious grace. The stability of mind and suited is not possible without the blessedness of your illustrious grace. The performance of bhajan in your sweet memory will only be commensurate with the mercy of your illustrious grace. It is hardly possible for this humble slave to do anything but sin. Faults, intemperance, and evasion are my lot. Your illustrious grace may take anyone across, or make him do as much bhajan and dhyan as you would please. If my actions and mean mentality are to be taken into account, I would at no time be deserving of your grace and kindness. But your grace and mercy can do anything. If Huzur so pleases, he may have one as sinful as this humble slave close to his feet in the twinkling of an eye. But for the feet of your grace, where else? You know this is dangerous stuff. But for the feet of your grace, where else can one find a place of everlasting bliss? All this, of course, depends on the grace and mercy of your exalted blessedness. Even the prayer of this sinful slave is, in a way, an impertinence. The solicitations of all satsangis on behalf of this inner kin, of course, soon invoke the grace of your illustrious graciousness. So this humble slave's repeated request to all of them with folded hand is that they may in any way pray at the feet of your grace on his behalf, and have him called at your holy feet like themselves, to enable him to participate in bhajan, prasad, and sacred darshan, in the good fortune of kissing the holy feet of the illustrious grace. What is passing in the mind of this humble slave, owing to his separation from the holy feet of your illustrious grace, cannot be given here in words. They very well knew this condition and how they felt the separation from the holy feet of your august self when you were at Lucknow. Thinking that similar must be the plight of this humble slave, they should, just out of kindness of heart and pity, beseeching as much as possible at the feet of your exalted grace to get this humble slave released early from this place, to enable him to have the good fortune of getting the sacred darshan of your grace, and that the remaining work here may soon be concluded by the grace of your august self. The present condition of this slave is that at night he recites the holy hymns for 2 or 3 hours. One hurried reading of the book Mat Ramayana has been completed, and the second reading has only been started since yesterday. At times, I also read 2 or 3 pages from the book Shabdawali, which is a book by Tulsi Sahib. My capacity of comprehension is already known to your illustrious grace. Several portions left out as incomprehensible. Several portions are left out as being incomprehensible. This humble slave also reads daily 4 or 5 paragraphs from the book Soami Ji. Soami Ji is another book by Guru Nanak Ji. Mr. Patton incident is his boss, as you have gathered from that. Mr. Patton comes twice or thrice daily, usually in the morning, at noon, and the evening. So no particular time is fixed for doing budgeting with ease of mind. Whenever there is an opportunity and Sudit feels somewhat inclined to do so, I sit and budget. But the part of the real budgeting is very little. There is abundance of wandering thoughts. Not only sleep and ramblings of the mind are there, but ideals never thought of before come in my mind. Similar is the condition of sleep. This indicates and amply proves the uneasy condition of my mind and spirit. Your illustrious grace is the master and the Lord. You may set this humble slave free of evil propensities as you please. There is a great intemperance in the matter of sleep and food. Although on the day of receipt of your august letter, and your commands in that letter, in the holy prasad, there appears some relief. There's a good deal more of intemperance and incontinence as compared to what it was in Agra. May your grace and mercy put my mind on the right path. Otherwise, I can't do anything. I am so weak and utterly helpless that there is no limit to it. The more I try to restrain the mind, the more intractable it becomes. I place my reliance only on the holy feet of your illustrious grace. Your grace may keep me in any condition you please. The tale of this slave's longing and yearning for kissing the holy feet is a long one. How long may I go on wasting the time of your illustrious grace and of other satsangis? I am ever a sinner and expect quick forgiveness and long to have the darshan of your holy grace and to kiss your holy feet. May your illustrious graciousness be pleased to grant this prayer. As order, I have posted a letter today to Ba Sahib Nan Kishore. Another folded letter is enclosed with this petition. Your most exalted and sacred grace may please order it to be sent to Lala Mukha Pasha with instruction that he should go to Ba Sahib and tell him to make such arrangements as may be appropriate for the purchase of land for Maharaj Samaj. In the exalted service of illustrious, kind, benign, and gracious Mother, Sri Radhaji Maharaj, after paying respects, regards, and compliments, making humble prayer with deep humility and thousands of submissions, and bowing his head at her holy feet, this humble slave of slaves, Saligram, most humbly prays that her august self, with her own gracious tongue, may intercede at the feet of his illustrious grace, Soami Ji Maharaj, on my behalf, that he may soon release me from this place and grant me the blessing of kissing his holy feet after reaching there. And a reply to this letter, dictated by Soami Ji Maharaj. Opening, beloved of the Sak Guru, blessed of the Lord, adorned with Shiv, my dearest Saligram. Always remember the Lord. My blessing to you are that with a sincere mind, sincere spirit, sincere love, sincere devotion, sincere yearning, and sincere attention in the contemplation of the Guru, you may peruse this letter. Your letter full of love and yearning to hand. I understood it expressed and implied content. Although I keep on praying for your physical attendance at this court, yet no definite reply is forthcoming so far. It appears, however, from the existing situation that special grace and mercy are being bestowed on you in an even greater measure than before. Therefore, giving up all restlessness, keeping his marge and will uppermost, consider him as your Savior. Although you are deprived of darshan, satsang, seva, and attendance on the Guru at present, you do not imagine that this is detrimental to your interest in any way. He is present with you all the time in his shut form. Therefore, banish all worry. Look with sincere attention and spirit, and you will get his darshan. Such a situation is also not without some hidden good. There is certainly joy and pleasure in union, but at intervals, separation is also equally desirable. Certainly, you are likely to be present here soon. Whatever earnings or budgeting you make, bring that capital as a present for me. I look forward to you for this earning. You are earning for all. What is wrong with my lot that you are so slow in this respect? If you come empty-handed, you will be classed among the unworthy sons and idlers and will be disgraced. Take care. Be alert. Come to me with due caution. I'm going to read that again. From the top. Whatever earnings or budget you make, bring that capital as a present for me. He's telling me, bring me your meditation. The rest is bullshit. You are earning for all. Your meditation is for the benefit of all mankind. You want to remind them of his great mission. That your meditation is not just for your sake, but for the sake of all sentient beings, right? And Soami Ji said, if you come empty-handed, you will be classed among the unworthy sons and idlers and will be disgraced. Take care. Be alert. Come to me with due caution. You have been sent away already, and you will be turned out again. It is therefore proper that, giving up sloth and pacifying the mind, you do your best in budgeting. In short, what I mean is that you bring such a wonderful and novel present for me that, hearing about and seeing it, I may feel a unique pleasure. Else, the Lord is all-powerful, and know ye that he is also ever kind and dear towards you. Oh boy, that's a good letter, huh? I'm telling you. I think that's just about enough for you rascals for today. Let me just, there's one more letter here where Soami Ji is in that that exalted state. May I read it? Yes. And then we'll start wrapping up and get ready to sit. This is another reply to very similar letters and so forth. You all getting the ideal now, you see? Saligram is begging, right? And he's being dealt with, right? In this particular response, Soami Ji Maharaj says, it has been ordered that whatever you had asked of the exalted Dunbar of Guru Sahib has been granted to you. Don't be impatient. Giving up all restlessness, remember the holy feet of the Guru. You are not aware of the Guru's wisdom and his acts. You will surely come and meet me. But meanwhile, the cow's head is being broken. Do not think that you have been separated, but know that Kal is being made subservient to you, and many people are being benefited by it. That is why your separation has been tolerated by me, and you yourself know it. Knowing all this, why do you feel so uneasy? This exactly is the condition of those charitable and great souls who live for others. The reward that they receive is that they are deprived of food, drink, sleep, laughter, conversation, and all comforts of the body and mind. But you do allow cause to gain a little strength now and then. So rest assured, the Guru will look after this when you meet him. All does not depend upon presence in person, though you are shortly to be present. Do you know it? Look up to Maharaj and will of the Guru. He is always gracious and merciful and will never keep you devoid of his grace. An ocean of bliss and happiness is being filled for you. You will bathe in it, drink its nectar, and will distribute much of it to others as well. You know not what gift to ask for, nor the manner in which to ask for it. The giver, the Lord, is ashamed of your petty request. Such requests simply are put forward by unworthy people. What are these trifles that you are asking me for? Henceforth, it is not necessary for you to ask for anything. Now go on observing what the Guru gives you of his own accord, which you could never even dream of. Well, what can a child ask for? At the most, he will ask for a ball or a bat or a yo-yo or a top, whereas his father has got prepared for him a garden and a crystal palace. But what does he know of these things? After these days of your childhood and ignorance are over, the moon and the sun will be the balls, and the Milky Way the stick, and the Lord and his devotees will play together in the fields of Sund and Mahasund, and shoves will resound all around. On one side, your sisters will be there, and on the other, your brothers. How great will be your bliss when you experience those ecstasies. This, in fact, is only an illustration, but that reservoir is, of course, fathomless. And now the time is coming for you to see all this glory. Therefore, be patient and have endurance. And furthermore, always remember, Sat Guru is the Almighty Lord. Soami Ji Maharaj. So, hopefully today you have gotten a little bit of a better understanding of what is possible for us in our relationship with God and Guru, and hopefully inspired. And as you can see, the struggles are the same for everybody. The grace is there for everyone. And so, on the basis of this understanding, let's go forward. Let's really try to become just a pale reflection of the kind of great sangha that existed, where they sent food to one another. We should be food to one another. Always willing to feed one another. Spiritual growth and development. Now with that said, one last thing, Trevor Saab come, and then we will have 1 or 2 minutes.
How long do we have the place? I thought we go out of here at 3.
I told him Stu is not here today, so I give him they'll bill me.
You okay?
Yeah.
I see that. Closer.
This won't be very long, but I wanted to give you your Parmathi name, your spiritual. That will guide you and keep you focused on what you have come to the path to achieve. And you and I have already talked about what that's going to require. And because of your response, by your deeds and actions, you have been permitted to come today to be with us. Ordinarily, this is closed. You know that, right? But I think one of the things that Trevor has finally realized is that he needs some help. Is that about right, Philip? This is the first and most fundamental realization that is required to begin to approach the Guru rightly, to enter into right relationship with the Guru, with the teacher, and that you must really realize you need some help. Not realize it merely intellectually, but to really experience that you need some help. You simply must exhaust all of your own energy and efforts in your attempt to find happiness and to relieve yourself of suffering. Make every attempt that you can conceive of for the sake of such relief, and have the experience of complete failure. Hasn't that been your experience with others? Complete failure. It's not something you're proud of, is it? All that intellectual equipment you got in your heads, right? All of these high scores on your SAT, right? You had the second highest or the first highest in the state of Illinois. What was it? The second, first, second. Second highest scores on the SAT tests. And in spite of all of that, you have not been able to find any way out of your misery and your failure. Is that about right? You have failed to be happy. And don't have a clue. Is that about right? Failure at your attempt to become man. Is that about right? Failure at your attempt to function independently of your mom and your daddy. Is that about right? In spite of all of that, and you have realized something from that experience, and you have realized that you need help, and you have approached the house and approached me for such help. Is that right? And that is the right way to approach the house. Is in search of help. Not approaching the house to try to tell everybody what they should do, like you know what you're talking about. Not to instruct others as to how they may be happy when you have come already knowing that you don't have a clue about how to be happy. Is that about right? Yeah. So you must always remember your condition. And it's interesting, Arjuna Sahib, earlier you were talking about humility. Humility is the result of having failed in your every attempt to be happy. It's only when a jiva has failed, and failed totally, that they can become humble. Please make a note. Humility is not some kind of intellectual way of thinking. Humility is not something that you can psychologically induce. Humility is the outcome of your absolute failure to be able to bring about any real change in your condition on the result of your own ego strategies and efforts. your ego efforts failed and have failed miserably now. And undeniably, when you see that, you become humble. And it's that humility now that makes you available to grace. Please make a note of it. One will only resort to grace to the extent that one is humble. And you will only be humble to the extent that you have seen your own inability to effect your liberation from the clutches of your mind, body, all of your weaknesses, imperfections, and joy. Well, you have just heard the same confession from Saligram, haven't you? Who realized there's no way for me to rely on my mind, my intellect, my cleverness. No way. No way. That the only means by which he could be liberated was that he received that grace. That is the source of humility, is just this revelation. So today I give you a name to keep you humble. See? Forever. So that you may never begin to presume that you are some kind of great repository of knowledge and all of these other things, you see? To keep you humble like dust. So that you may always be turned toward grace. That you may practice this, what I call Ra Sarand Avyasa. This complete and absolute reliance on the grace of God and Guru. This practice of Ras Sarand Avyasa can only be engaged by one who is humble, one who has realized they need some help. Now I want to make sure we're on the same page. Do you need some help?
Yes, I need some help.
No fooling, no kidding.
No fooling, no kidding.
Then maintain that realization. And so I will call you Sar Denta Ji. Denta means humble. Sar means true. Sar Denta, therefore, means maintain and remain truly humble when you come into the house here. Don't make the mistake of those you've seen here. Don't get confused. Once you memorize a few teachings, that you don't need some help. Don't get confused once your life start turning around, you get a little money, you start climbing the ladder, and things look better. Don't presume you don't need some help. Always remember this help. Remain humble. Be Sadhentaji. Get in the back on that. Talk to him like that.
Yo! Sadhenta!
All right. So, one or two more lines here. You can hug later. Go immediately to the back. Sit in the front. We will close now with just a few more things. And since we refer to one another here as Radasis, I've already talked to you about the esoteric meaning of Radasi. It's been a representation of a certain kind of bhava that you could characterize our relationship with. I wanted to tell you and share with you the value and the deep significance of our becoming a dasi, a savak, a sevadar, one capable of service. I want to share with you just a line from the Bhagavad Gita that is quoted here in Sabhashan. Most of you have either heard of this book, read this book, or will be going out trying to find this book, and so forth and so on. Because this particular quote in Sabhashan from the Bhagavad Gita sums up very beautifully the efficacy of rendering service and the highest form of service that you can render in the context of your relationship with the Guru. And I've given you some examples from the life and the living of Saligram Maharaj, right? But even before then, there was a Lord Krishna who also had something to say about it. And Lord Krishna's writing in the Bhagavad Gita states very clearly what is required if you want what the Guru has. If you really want to become his Gurumukh, you see, if you really want to really be addressed as that which is dear than my own life, if you really want to become the beloved of the Sakur, if you really want to be addressed in any of those kinds of salutations that you have heard used by Soami Ji and when he addresses Saligram, then this is what you must do. And Sri Krishna Maharaj in the Bhagavad Gita says very clearly, he who wants to see, serve, and love me, he's giving you the secret of cultivation. He who wants to see, radiant, see, serve, be my sevak, be my Gurumukh, who wants to love me, and be loved in return by me. He who wants to see, serve, and love me should serve my devotees. Serve my devotees. Then shall I consider it my own service and shall be pleased with him. For him alone I love who loves my devotees. I do not live above or below, neither in this heaven or in the other, but I live in the hearts of my devotees. And this is always the message to me. Jesus said, inasmuch as you do unto these or the least of these my brethren, you do it unto me. Same concept. You can't talk about love for the Guru and mistreat his Sangha. Now y'all gotta stop doing that. Talk about love for the Guru and constantly criticizing your brothers and sisters in here. And who are you to criticize anybody? Always quick to point out the slightest flaw and imperfection in the Sangha. Quick to point it out. But become infuriated when somebody points out one of yours. So this is the secret of winning the Guru's love and affection. It's not playing up to the guru like the guru is some kind of politician from Washington. They got grant money for you. Or somebody you're trying to get a mortgage from. It's how you treat the Sangha that is the key to the Guru's love. And when you are able to treat the Sangat with such high regards, then, and only then, do you begin to enter into this process of becoming a Gurumukh. Because the Gurumukh is one who serves the Sangat. So any anti-Sangat sentiments that you are harboring, know then that you are simply cutting yourself off from ever really coming into any kind of real relationship with me as your Guru. That's not going to happen. And I don't care whatever else you do. You can organize the Langar, you can put on Saber Days, you can write books, you can translate tapes, you can bring me water, you can carry my stuff. That don't mean shit. If you are mistreating my devotees, if you are constantly criticizing my family, constantly, always focusing in on the slightest fault, and then arrogating to yourself some kind of superior status. To be a Gurumukh, you must really love the Sangha. Otherwise, you don't have the stuff that a real Gurumukh is made out of. And without the Gurumukh, can't nothing happen here. So by doing this kind of service to the Sangha, you create that atmosphere and that context in which it makes the advent of the Gurumukh possible. Without that, even ordinary people won't want to be around you. People will come to the house, they'll love the Dharma, but they say, I can't handle these people. Bhagwan. Yep. Y'all know that, right? Many has come, love the Dharma, get along great with Bhagwan, ain't no problem. What they can't take is you. And sometimes even before then, you can't wait to give them the negative gossip on somebody. That's why I'm afraid to even put them in telephone. Even many who are standing on the peripheral, waiting for an invitation to be extended to come. And you know there are. Hope you don't think it's just you all here that are seeking this kind of knowledge. People lining up for it. But there's caution in it, because from the past I see the moment they come in, got to fill them with all this gossip and all of this negative backbiting on tearing this brother or sister down. And you're not serving the Sangha, and you're certainly not serving me. You're serving your own people. So don't send me no emails and don't call me complaining about nobody in here. I don't even want those kind of emails. I don't want those kind of phone calls, ever. If you're doing coolers and you know I'm going to listen to the tape, okay, don't do it while the tape is spinning. I think I'm entitled to at least that. Don't you? Absolutely. You must love one another. No fooling. No kidding. For real. You want? Yeah. All right. Thought you was sleepy. Where did you get all this energy from? Doctor don't get this out of you. All right, let's see. This is in Sabashan. Soami Ji Maharaj gives the definition of Gurumukh. And one of the interesting things, when at least I was getting initiated at that time, even in our BS lineage, that Maharaj required that you read Sabashan before you get initiated, and you read it after you get initiated. You have to read it twice. Such was the importance, ecstatic, because in Sabashan is the seed of the whole teaching. It's tight, it's compact, but it is there. And so in Sabashan, in Bhashan number 207, Swami Ji Maharaj says something about the Gurumukh. The Gurumukh is he who regards Satguru as the supreme being and does not question any of his action, nor does he ever lose faith in him. I mean, just that one line is enough.
Yeah, do that.
The Gurumukh is he who regards Satguru as the supreme being and does not question any of his action, nor does he ever lose faith in him.
Gotcha.
That's the ultimate bhava, isn't it? That's the epitome of bhava. The Satpurush bhava. Swami Ji Maharaj continues to say, for instance, if there is death in the family, or some affliction or loss, or it is too hot or too cold, or there's heavy rain, or a little or no rain at all, or sickness, epidemic, or any other calamity, he, meaning the disciple, the devotee, must not say that such and such an occurrence was improper, wrong, or bad. This is a whole different standard.
Yes.
Must not even say it was bad or wrong. Even if there's death, as Sahajananda has gone through. Swami Ji Maharaj said, she must not say that such an occurrence was improper, wrong, or bad. Rather, she should think that whatever happened was by Maharaj, that it was the right thing, and that there must be some hidden good in it. These are key principles to remind you, to be able to understand and accept in order to practice Rat Sadhan Abhyasa, this complete and absolute reliance on the grace of the Lord. A whole profound understanding that whatever the Lord do is full of grace. The Lord can't do anything that is not full of grace, by definition. Even sending Jivas into this creation was by grace. And there's always some hidden good in everything. Swami Ji Maharaj continues to say, this attitude can, however, be adopted only by a perfect Gurumukh, and no one else has the capacity. Look at that statement. this attitude is always adopted by those who are made out of the stuff that Gurumukhs are made out of. And no matter what is going on in their life, no matter what is happening in their body, mind experiences, no matter what karma they got going on at any given moment, you see, they don't become despondent. See, you all become despondent, see how easy it is? Maharaj was talking about depression, despondent. That's because this, see, you have no faith. See, your faith is easily destroyed by the least little vicissitude in life. That's not so with me. And so the Gurumukh present in the Sangha is our advantage, because the Gurumukh look just like us. Right? And if they can handle these things, then it inspires us. We watched them go through. And how many of you were not inspired to see this little girl show up here today? Isn't that inspiring? Makes you feel like applauded, because you can identify with it. You can empathize with it. You know what you would be feeling if your son or your daughter died, underwent that kind of suffering. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
And those of you who called her yesterday, the day before, checking up on her, she kept telling you, said, well, I'll be at Satsang, sir. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's a terrible thing. But I'll be at Satsang. You all can't get here. And ain't shit happening in your life. Is that right?
Amen.
Is that right or not right? You can't get here. You're too busy with this click-clack, that click-clack. You got something going on in your life that you have elevated up and then use that as an excuse to be absent from your guru. And then you say, you love your guru. Your guru. How are you pulling that off? I mean, how you fix that up in your mind? I wonder how many of you would have came here today. I mean, you can't even come to Satsang when your kids get a bellyache. How can you come when one of them gonna die? Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Only this attitude is can only be lived by a Gurumukh, and not these wannabe Gurumukhs. Sorry I'm keeping you past your time, but I'm testing your GQ. Your guru. I keep you long enough, I'll be down to my Gurumukh. do a 24-hour satsang with no warning, so that you wouldn't have a chance to prepare yourself, where you would just, wander through the door under your usual presumption that this will be over in a couple, 2 or 3 hours, and I can get home in time to catch that program, catch that game. But I know that if on such an impromptu gathering, I simply sit here in the room for 24 hours, I know who will be left here. I know who will go. I know who have already left, and who can't wait to leave. Just a matter of time. this is not the day for it. That day is still yet to come. What else can I see here? All right. All right, this is again related to the Gurumukh. There's a lot of things in here, so one of the things that Mukherjee I've given you today, you have it. One of the things that I will be doing is, at least for those of you who are engaged in the practice of Satsang on a daily basis and have partnered up with one another, I want to continually feed you all these kind of beautiful sutras. How many enjoyed the sutras? Let me tell you something. I know many of you were under the impression that those nuggets of wisdom was the outcome of my master or great master. No, that's not so. Those sutras that you are reading are extracts from a larger set of sutras. Anybody know which sutra they are? No. Any other guesses? No. Takes care of the whole house? Only 2 people? Okay, great. Now, let me tell you the story about those origins. That particular pamphlet came out years and years ago, and it was put together by Louise Hilger. Louise Hilger, you see her name, she do a lot of the books and stuff for the theater. And some of the sutras in there were adapted, languaged, modernized, so forth and so on, and made suitable to the palates of those who were in our Bias lineage. But you can't really appreciate the depth of those sutras unless you have read them in their original form. And see, already you see you all are indebted to Huzur Maharaj because the sutras you read, and that's Huzur Maharaj, Saligram, from his book, Jagat Prakash Radhaswami. Jagat Prakash Radhaswami is Huzur Saligram exposition on how to do this Shircha Avyasa, and gave it only for those who are initiated. That's why that little pamphlet had the title, Just for Satsangis. And Jagat Prakash Radhaswami, written by Saligram, has 213 of those bad boys. So I got some food for y'all. Are you interested? I want to feed you from the world of Sant Mat, not just from some river here and a river there. I have access to the whole world of Sant Mat. And it's sweet. So today, you will be given your handouts. You have them under there? Take it out. One of them at least. Of course, I stapled it in the wrong corner, but that's her fault. She should have been there telling me what to do. Your next gift will be some of the sutras, teaching sutras of Babuji Maharaj. Bhagwan Maharaj was the last living Saint Guru in Afrika, from the lineage connected with Saligram. And so I'm going to keep feeding you all the very best of Sant Mat with no regards for the politics that may be associated with the source of those sutras. And those who are initiated by in our lineage understand what I mean. The rest of you don't need to even know what I mean. So you've already had a taste and experience of Saligram during your 50-day project, doing your Nama Sutra study, because all of those feelings and got insights you got, stuff opening up, stuff making sense to you. It's the gift of the Gurumukh. See, so even a dead Gurumukh can help us. It's a powerful thing, isn't it? And don't you agree that did help you all?
Yes.